Hi, and welcome back to BuyEveryWord.org. I want to thank everybody for coming back. Thank you for the responses that I've had on the first two videos, and for the comments, and for the mail that I've been receiving. It's just a joy to see that people are really enjoying these videos. So I just want to thank you for that. I want to get started really quickly this time. The last message was a little longer than I wanted it to be. So, but we have a lot to cover. When I start doing these videos, I've got so much that I want to get out there. But this next section, which is our lesson 3, is on who are we, and I'm getting this done a little later than I did the last two messages, and it's because there is so much in this. I just think this is such a big volume that everyone needs to hear about, and the volume of this message is going to be so huge that I probably don't have enough tapes to record it. So what I've decided is I've just broke this down, and I'm going to do several messages on this. So lesson 3 will probably have several parts, but we may call it lesson 4, lesson 5, I'm not sure yet, but I hope you enjoy this. On the first two lessons, we had talked about what we lost in God's original intent. We figured out in the first lesson what we lost was a kingdom. Man had lost a kingdom. And on the second message, we learned that about God's original intent. What was God really thinking in the very beginning? What was His purpose? Okay, and we realized that God does everything. Everything He does is for a purpose. It's for a reason. So we also realized that the purpose to this was to establish a kingdom on earth. That was His purpose. He wanted to establish a kingdom on earth. And we had mentioned the Lord's Prayer. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So God's purpose, Jesus was teaching the disciples how to pray. He said, look, when you pray, ask that it be done in the earth just as it is in heaven. So, we haven't been really praying that. We know that prayer, but our prayer is, Lord, please get us out of here. Get us to heaven as quick as possible. But God put us here for a reason. And until we realize what our purpose here is on earth, until we realize that we have a specific reason God has us here, until we get that in our heads, we will never live a life that is fulfilling. We'll never have a life where we feel like we've done something, accomplished something for God. And everybody always says that. What do you want to do? Well, I just want to do the will of God. Well, what do you want to do? I just want to do the will of God. Well, what is the will of God? God has a purpose for you. And, it's a bad thing to be successful in something that's not your purpose. I'm in that process now. I love doing everything that I've done for God. I love all the places that He's taken me. I love the paths that He's taken me on. But, I'm still working out my purpose. And if I'm doing these videos in 30 years from now, I think I'll still be able to look at this camera and I'll say, I'm still working out my purpose. Because I don't think I'll ever be finished with my purpose. Because if I'm finished with my purpose, then I'm probably dead. Jesus, whenever He was finished, He was on the cross and He said, it is finished. He was done with His purpose. And He lived till age 33. Now, I want to live for a long time, but I want to complete my purpose, and I want to live a long time. I want to live whatever God wants me to do. I just want to make sure that when I leave here, that I've done what God wanted me to do. And so, the third question has so much in it. It's something that we all ask ourselves. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you're a Buddhist. I don't care if you're into Taoism. I don't care if you're a Catholic, a Baptist, a Pentecostal, Church of Christ. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It don't matter what your belief is. No matter what, we have all asked ourselves this question: who are we, and why are we here? What's the reasoning that we are here? And so the question of who are we, and the more personal question of who am I, those are two similar questions. Who are we deals with the the human purpose, in general. What is our general purpose? Who are we? Why are we here? What is the purpose of humans? And the question of who am I is a more personal and intimate question of your individual purpose on this earth. And so I'm not going to really get into the who am I on this lesson. I really want to talk about more of the who are we, because that is very important. It's important that we understand that. We know that we lost a kingdom. We know God's original purpose was to establish a kingdom on earth. So what is our part in all of it? Well, let's start off by looking at some Psalms by the psalmist David, what he had wrote, some questions that he asked, some things that he had said. And let's see if any of us have ever asked these things. Psalm chapter 8, verse 3 through 4. And I'm going to be reading these from the King James Version. It says, David says, "When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast ordained." So here's David looking up in all the sky. He's seeing the beautiful stars. He's looking at everything that God has made. And he's just thinking, man, how big this place is. And then he says something that really, I think, strikes a chord with all of us. He says, "What is man, that thou art mindful of him? And the Son of Man, that thou visitest him?" I've asked myself that. Why does God seem like He's so big, He's so powerful, He's so infinite? He made us just on this speck of sand in this huge, huge universe. I mean, the closest star that we have, we can't even get to. So what's so important about us? Why is God so committed to us? Psalm 144 says this, "Lord, what is man, that thou takest knowledge of him? And the Son of Man, that thou makest account of him?" Have you ever asked yourself that? I know I have. I've wondered, God, what is it with me? Why are you so committed to us? Why is it that you've done all these things? Why have you made us? What is our reasoning for being here? Have you ever asked yourself that? It's such an important question that we understand who we are. Because until we understand who we are to God, we can never fulfill God's purpose. Why? Well, one, Satan is always, whether you believe in Satan or not, it doesn't matter. Everybody has him on him. The enemy is on everybody. Other religions call him different things. They call him bad karma. There's all kinds of names for him. But the thing is he is a fallen angel. That's what he is. He was second in command with God, and he rebelled against God. And now he is out there working against every human person. Why? Well, because humans are God's children, and God has a purpose for them. And Satan hates God so much and hates his plan so much, and he can't get back into power anymore with God. And he knows what his end is, and so he's trying his best to mess it up for you and for me. So let's look at this. Let's look at this next thing. Psalm 115, verse 16. Says, "The heaven, even the heavens, are the Lord's." The heaven, even the heavens. So this is referring to the heaven, the third heaven, and this is referring to the heavens. That's talking about the sky and space and all of the universe. All these things that David looked at and thought, why am I here? The heaven, even the heavens, are the Lord's. Okay? But the earth hath he given to the children of men. So he's given the earth to the children of men. Now, was David out of his mind when he said this? No, God. Well, you read in the Bible, God said that here is David, a servant after his own heart. He loved David because David was so truthful about everything. David was so true in everything he said. He would say, "Oh, God, I've been conceived in iniquity. I've been born into sin." And man, God just loved this guy. He's like, man, yeah, that's right. I love this guy. He's after my heart. And so David was saying something that was so true. He understood something. There was something that he understood about God.